Believe it or not, some scientists think that mammoths, mastodons, and giant ground sloths may be the reason for some of the most beautiful hiking destinations in all of southern Appalachia. I'm talking about Appalachian balds, those wide open grassy balds that you see in places like Max Patch and Grassy Ridge Bald. They look peaceful today, but their origins may date all the way back to the Ice Age. And even now, nobody agrees exactly on how these landscapes might have originated. So today we are uncovering the mystery behind Appalachian grassy balds. But first, we need to get some of our definitions in place. What is an Appalachian bald? Also, if you want to destroy yourself, make this into a drinking game and take a sip every time I say bald, because I guarantee it's gonna be even more than I think it's gonna be. Appalachian balds are located on the high ridges of the mountaintops in southern Appalachia. These spots are covered with native grasses or shrubs rather than the typical forest vegetation that you typically see on the mountaintops. Balds are also found throughout southern Appalachia, but more specifically, you see them in western North Carolina, North Georgia, southwest Virginia, and eastern Tennessee. And there are also two types of Appalachian balds. There are grassy balds, which is what we are going to dive into today, and heath balds. Grassy balds, as the name would suggest, are covered in native grasses, while the heath balds are filled with thickets of evergreen shrubs like mountain laurel and rhododendron. If you've ever gone on a hike and you start to get to the summit and you notice that the vegetation changes from like hardwood forest to those really thick, gnarly thickets of rhododendron and mountain laurel, then you've probably been on a heath bald and you didn't even know it. But now you do, and you can give it a name, and that's exciting. Heath balds also have the easiest explanation of the two balds, because these thickets of evergreen shrubs tend to grow where the soil is highly acidic or they experience pretty heavy drainage. And thanks for watching, that's the mystery. No, I'm kidding. Grassy balds are much more complex, and this is where it starts to get really interesting, so buckle up for a little bit of my special interest. There are several theories out there about how grassy balds were created, so allow me to present to you what a few of those are. And it's a bit of a mystery because nobody is exactly sure how grassy balds were created. However, there are several compelling theories. Some balds, particularly those within the boundaries of modern-day Great Smoky Mountains National Park, are thought to have been cleared by European settlers sometime in the late 1800s. There is an interesting report by Mary Lindsay called History of the Grassy Bald in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. I will link it in the description if you're interested. It really is a fascinating read. But in this, she interviews 14 people who were familiar with the grassy balds of the park before it was established as a national park. Many of these interviews suggest that a lot of these balds were just cleared for cattle grazing. Spence Field is said to have been cleared by an old man with the surname Sparks, Seiler Bald by an old man Seiler, and Andrews Bald by an old man Andrews. So lots of creativity here with the balds naming. I mean, if you just spent months clearing a bald, you might not have any mental juice left for, I digress. So there is some firsthand evidence out there that some of these balds are man-made, but not all of them fit this profile. Gregory Bald, for example, is a really interesting study case for this. It has supposedly been clear for much longer than some of the other balds in this report. Mary Lindsay writes that although interviews don't provide much information about the origin of Gregory Bald, it could just merely suggest that it was cleared even earlier than the late 1800s by European settlers who got there 100 years earlier, or the first ones that made it to that area. And while Lindsay's suggestion could be true, not everybody thinks that this is the case. An empirical study done by Stanley A. Kane in 1931 found that Gregory Bald might have been cleared well before any European settlers came to the area. The soil profiles from the bald showed quote, "From a few inches to a foot or more of homogeneous black soil of grassland type, which is too deep and mature to have been developed since the advent of white man." So, in layman's terms, this means that the soil profile led researchers to believe that the area has been grassy for a really long time, like hundreds of years, maybe 1,000 years or more, which is absolutely fascinating. That opens the door to so many other possible theories. But then the question becomes, well, if some dudes didn't clear it, then what did? Some researchers have suggested that extreme weather conditions or oak gall wasps cleared parts of the forest, but these theories don't exactly offer a comprehensive answer to every single bald. It could be the answer for one or two of them, but it's inconsistent across all of them. There is, however, one really fascinating hypothesis about how this could have happened. Enter here Peter Weigel and Travis Knowles, who offer a somewhat unexpected answer that dates all the way back to the Ice Age. And yes, I do mean that Ice Age. Specifically, we need to go all the way back to the Pleistocene era, between 2.85 million and 11,700 years ago. Do you remember it back then? What was it like back then? Do tell. During the late Pleistocene era, Travis and Knowles proposed that severe climatic conditions, quote, "probably deforested peaks of the southern mountains," unquote. These deforested areas were then likely maintained by prehistoric mega-herbivores including mammoths, mastodons, giant ground sloths, and giant bison. After these animals became extinct, the areas were then theorized to be maintained by bison and elk until Europeans settled the area. And this is the coolest thing in the world to me, that it makes sense. Severe climatic conditions would not have been a very welcoming place for vegetation to grow. So in a way, the other researchers who suggested severe climatic conditions could have been on a similar track, but maybe didn't expect it to go all the way back to extinct beings. And, you know, mammoths and mastodons get hungry too. They want to munch on their prehistoric salad, and so they go to the balds where the trees are gone, but there is no grass. And isn't that just so cool? I think that is one of the most fascinating things like ever. And now I'm obsessed with the idea that there may be such a thing as an Appalachian mammoth or a mastodon. I also can't say mastodon without thinking about the band Mastodon. I'm a huge Mastodon fan. Rest in peace, Brent Hines. That is a tragedy for all metalheads out there, but like, yeah, that's where my mind goes. And this is also why I love Appalachia so much. The more you learn about the area, the more you uncover, and the cooler it gets. And I'm so biased because I'm from here, but I love it. I love it. And if you want to lace up those hiking boots of yours and see the beauty of the balds for yourself, there are a few that are quite popular. I mentioned Max Patch earlier. That one is routinely super crowded, but it is really pretty. Then there's the hike along the AT, Round Bald, Jane Bald, and Grassy Ridge Bald. That one is also quite beautiful. You can hike to Andrews Bald in the Smoky Mountains and to Gregory Bald, although that one is a longer hike. There is another Seiler Bald down closer to Franklin that is quite beautiful. But yeah, I also just encourage you to do your own research because the hikes that you find on your own are always the most fun ones. Oh yeah, and there's also a couple of balds that you can go to along the Cherahela Skyway. There's a lot, just do your research. There's so many. But yeah, a lot of these areas are maintained in the present day because they offer beautiful vistas, obviously, and they are filled with natural and historical significance. They are also home to some rare plant species, including the roan rattlesnake and the three-toothed cinquefoil. I think it's pronounced cinquefoil. I'm not sure. But that will be it from me today. I hope that you enjoyed this one, and please do subscribe to the channel if you like Appalachian things. I do plan to get into some more stories. I have a huge list of ideas, including a little bit of true crime, some hiking stuff, some underwater towns, some just general get outside and get off your phone and touch grass, preferably native grasses type stuff. But anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!